Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're gearing up to tackle the incredibly complex maze that is the OCI card application, you are absolutely in the right place. Getting your overseas citizen of India's status is hugely rewarding, but let's be real for a second, the stakes are pretty high. Nailing this application on your first try is literally the difference between locking in your seamless travel rights and getting stuck in just an agonizing state of bureaucratic limbo. So today, we're breaking the whole thing down so you can get approved without the massive headache.
Okay, let's dive into this. The government of India actually introduced the OCI card way back in 2005. Now, you might hear a lot of folks mistakenly refer to it as dual citizenship. It's definitely not. India simply doesn't allow dual citizenship. Instead, think of it as a permanent bridge to India. It essentially functions as a lifelong multiple entry visa for people of Indian origin who now hold foreign passports. So you get to keep your US or British citizenship, but you entirely bypass the nightmare of constant visa renewals.
And to put this into perspective, as of 2025, over 4 million people globally hold this card. Honestly, that's incredibly validating. It proves that while the paperwork might look completely daunting right now, millions of people have successfully crossed that finish line before you. And by the end of our time today, you're going to know exactly how to join them.
Right, here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the bridge to India. 2, the ultimate document checklist. 3, the step-by-step application process. 4, avoiding costly application mistakes. And 5, timelines, fees, and validity.
Starting off with Section 1, the bridge to India, where we'll cover eligibility and lifelong benefits. Let's see who can actually cross this bridge. So who actually gets in? Well, you're generally eligible if you were a former Indian citizen yourself, or if you're a child, grandchild, or even a great-grandchild of one. Foreign spouses of Indian citizens or OCI holders also make the cut, provided the marriage is registered and has been subsisting for at least 2 years. There are, however, some very strict blocks. Anyone of Pakistani or Bangladeshi origin, or anyone who has ever served in a foreign military is flat out not eligible. Now, if you do qualify, the perks are massive. We're talking a lifelong visa with unlimited stays, the ability to open Indian bank accounts, run businesses, and yes, even buy residential and commercial property. But quick caveat, you cannot vote, hold government jobs, or buy agricultural land, so you'll probably have to put those farming dreams on hold for now.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 2, the ultimate document checklist, preparing for the journey. Crafting a totally perfect document stack is your absolute best defense against rejections.
All right, let's look at the baseline documents every single applicant needs to gather. Having these exact items ready is the #1 way to avoid those agonizing delays. You'll need the completed Parts A and B of the application form, clear copies of your valid foreign passport and your old Indian passport. And this is huge. If you renounced your Indian citizenship after 2009, you absolutely must include your surrender or renunciation certificate. Okay, now pay super close attention to the photos. They have to be 2 inches by 2 inches on a plain white background and strictly printed on matte paper. I literally cannot overstate this. Using glossy photo paper is one of the most common reasons an application will get rejected right out of the gate. Throw in your proof of address and payment receipt, and you've got your core stack ready to go. But what if you're applying for a minor or as a foreign spouse? Well, there are a few extra hurdles. Minors are going to need their birth certificates and copies of both their own and their parents' passports. For foreign spouses, that registered marriage certificate proving you've been married for over 2 years is mandatory, along with your partner's Indian documentation. And here's the kicker for spouses. You cannot just mail this in. You are actually required to attend a mandatory in-person interview at the embassy or consulate alongside your partner. Moving right along to Section 3, the step-by-step application process. Let's map out this route.
Oh, look, rushing any of these chronological steps is basically asking for trouble, but the flow is universal whether you're in the US or the UK. Step 1 happens entirely online at the government portal, ociservices.gov.in. That's where you fill out the forms and upload your digital PDFs. Step 2, you jump over to the VFS Global portal to register your profile and pay the actual fees. Step 3 is booking your in-person VFS appointment. And please hear me on this one. Walk-in visits are absolutely not allowed, no exceptions. Centers in major cities book up weeks in advance, so you have to plan ahead. Step 4 is showing up on time with your flawless document stock to provide biometrics. Finally, Step 5 is just tracking your status online while the consulate does its thing.
Which brings us to the absolute most critical part of this whole explainer. Section 4, avoiding costly application mistakes. And this brilliantly illustrates the clash between common mistakes applicants make and the incredibly rigid rules the consulate enforces. Remember what we said about photos?
Glossy paper is an instant rejection. Mismatched details are another silent killer. If the spelling of your hometown differs by even one single letter from what's on your passport, expect a major delay. Forgetting that post-2009 surrender certificate? Denied. Uploading blurry PDFs, or, and people do this all the time, forgetting to scan the blank pages of your old passport? They'll send it back. Even mailing your paperwork to the wrong VFS center because you didn't double-check your specific state's consular jurisdiction will completely derail you. In this game, attention to detail is quite literally everything.
So why am I harping on this so much? Well, because the penalty for a tiny mistake is painfully severe. If your application is deemed incomplete, VFS holds onto it and then returns the whole shebang to you after 20 days. Yes, you usually get the core government fee refunded, but you lose almost a full month of your life, and you are put right back at square one, having to start the entire process all over again. Nobody wants that.
All right, assuming you avoid all of those traps, let's wrap up with Section 5, timelines, fees, and validity. Let's get you across that finish line. Now, timelines and costs do vary by region. If you're in the US, you should brace yourself for an average wait of about 8 to 16 weeks from the time VFS actually accepts your complete application. The total cost for an adult usually hovers around $300 to $350. That covers the $275 government fee, plus the VFS service and courier charges. Over in the UK, things actually move a bit faster. You're looking at an average of 5 to 8 weeks, with a flat fee of £231. But keep in mind, these are essentially one-time costs for a benefit you get to keep for life. So the crucial point is how you actually maintain this lifelong status. The government updated these rules back in August 2021, and thankfully it made things way simpler. Basically, if you get a new passport before you turn 20 or after you turn 50, you just upload a copy of your new passport and a fresh photo online. That's it. You don't need a new physical OCI card. However, there is one major exception you need to know. When you get a new passport after turning 20 years old, you have to undergo a mandatory physical OCI card reissue just that one time. So for most folks, that means going through a physical reissue process exactly once in their entire adult life. And honestly, that is how you conquer the bureaucracy. The benefits here, visa-free, unlimited travel, economic parity in India, they are incredibly powerful, but they absolutely demand precision during the application. Respect the checklist, double-check that you bought matte photo paper, and whatever you do, don't rush the steps. Your permanent bridge to India is waiting. The only question left is, are your documents ready? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.